say we don't have any culture when everything around the fucking world is influenced by black culture is fucking ignorant to say.
Who lied to you? What you mean culture? Who lied to you? Culture. Man, influence is not culture. What you hanging? The culture? No, man. Let's talk about how your so-called culture is the reason why they call women black queens whore. Your culture is the reason why they call black men criminals. You say culture? What culture, man? Who lied to you? Let's talk about how what you call culture is the one thing promoting the pew-pewing of black men around the world, the degradation of black queens around the world, and the exploitation of our communities. What culture? You don't even like yourselves. You want to talk about influence? Let's talk about how your so-called influence culture is influencing mass murder around the planet, gang violence. Let's talk about how your so-called influence, your so-called culture is influencing prostitution around the globe, influencing the degradation of black women, influencing the incarceration, mass incarceration of black men, the loss of values, loss of morals. Is that the influence and culture you want to be proud of? Is that it? Man, if this is your culture, how come everyone else benefits from it except you? Oh, and by the way, right, there's no difference between black America and white America. You've never had America. Remember, you helped the white man fight against the British to gain his independence, and you came back, could not even find the balls to fight for your independence. You had to settle for civil rights, which was given and taken away. What black America? What black America? We have black people in America. We don't have black America, just like we don't have yellow America or red America. Just white America. That's it.
You know, I'm really noticing a trend. Anytime I talk about white culture, white supremacy, there's always these people in my comments who's like, black culture, black this, black that. What? We're talking about white people, but black people have nothing to do with this. It's screaming obsession. And it's not just one comment. My video has nothing to do with black people or the black community. But they bring it up every time I talk about white culture.
Non-black people have gotten so comfortable with using the N-word and slurs against us that brands are actually hesitant to even take away their campaigns. Like with Huda, the reason why she laughed was because she thought it was funny, because no one has ever checked her. No one has checked her because of her proximity to blackness. When people get away with disrespecting black culture, black people, black women, etc., other people see this and they're like, okay, like, what is the big deal? Black culture, black people, we have not really checked anyone. If a caller called in and used a slur against any other racial, religious, or sexual oriented group, her brands would be gone the next day, because any of those group members do not play about that. They don't play about that. And they will check anyone who disrespects their culture. We don't. It's such a nuanced topic. And we're like, well, you know, she did live here. She does have black friends. Well, and it's always a if and but when it comes to people who align themselves with black culture. The most disappointing thing is on the Shade Room or any of these other blog sites, there's black women who are defending her. And they're like, oh, it was just an awkward moment. Do you genuinely think if someone called in disrespecting Palestine that she would have laughed? Like, ask yourself this. If you are earnest with yourself, ask yourself this. In fact, she would have ended that stream immediately, because she would know in an instant that her brands would be gone. She would know that in that moment. It wouldn't be funny. It wouldn't be awkward, because then she's like, okay, I cannot play around. Genuinely don't understand how it's so easy to disrespect black culture and black people and it not go unchecked, or if it does, it's only a little bit of action that's taken. But if someone uses a slur against any other racial or religious group, everyone is up in arms. Why is it so easy to disrespect black people but not another group. I genuinely want the same outrage that other religious, racial, sexual oriented, cultural groups have when someone disrespects them. I want the same outrage. Why is it us that has to say something? Like, why is it us always saying like, hey, this is not right? Like, we should have allies in every single space.
Black culture is completely embarrassing. And Black women are especially embarrassing because they are the creators and the defenders of the dysfunction. They glorify and protect the degeneracy because it is coming from them and their children. We've literally went from the backbone of the household to the face of delusion. And the fact that you have all these high standards for the purses you wear, the wigs that you put on your head, the shoes that you wear, the men that you date, but have zero standards for how you raise your children, how you carry yourself, and don't care about your community is also disgusting. And to be clear, I'm not ashamed of being Black. I'm ashamed of what Black culture have become. Because what we're celebrating isn't Black culture. It is actually clown culture. Which is why we're the entertainers for everyone in this country. And y'all want to be mad at white people so bad, but you should be mad at yourself and whoever raised you. Moral of the story, if you want to be successful in this country, do the exact opposite of what the Black community does.
And there's nothing more annoying and irritating than people who act like victims. For someone to say Black culture is the most disrespected culture, but yet, in fact, you know what? I'll venture to say that the first people that disrespect Black culture are Black people. Black people are the first ones to disrespect themselves. No one can make an argument that the very first people that, I mean, the way we even portray ourselves, not all of us obviously, but most Black people, I mean, the loudest of us are the ones who, who become the representation of the culture. So you can't tell me that, white people or other cultures, they disrespect our culture and it goes unchecked. I completely disagree with it. And this notion that, when a Black person disagrees with your opinion, they hate themselves. Listen, I think we are all individuals. We all have critical thinking skills, and I think we should apply them. We always say Black people are not the same, Black people are not a monolith, and we think differently, so we shouldn't be stereotyped. So don't feel offended when another Black person thinks in a different way than you are. It's crazy. It's borderline crazy to say that Black people are the most disrespected culture. In fact, I would also say that, I wouldn't say white people are the most disrespected culture, but I would say that, bro, we all know that behind closed doors, Black people say some of the, insane things about other cultures. Some of the jokes, and I know a lot of times will be, innocent jokes, but if you say it in front of those people, it would be considered, being racist. Let's not all act like, listen, there are Black people who are racist, there are white people who are racist, and I'm sure there are other people from other cultures who are racist. So let's not pretend like, Black people are the only victims of racism, and we are the only disrespected people or the most disrespected people. No. How do you even quantify that? How do you quantify that Black culture is the most disrespected culture? Because you can't quantify it. It's all about proximity. As long as you have other Black people around you who believe the same way you are, whatever it is that you guys believe in, you think that is the truth. Which is not. There are Black people in Africa who thinks different way. There are Black people in America who thinks in another way. There are Black people from Europe who thinks in another way. So you can't, unless you want to be specific and say Africans or Black Americans or Europeans. But yeah, I know someone's going to make an argument. Black people only come from Africa. When you say black people, we mean Africa. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, black Americans, black Europeans, if you put them in Africa, they wouldn't know, the first thing to do or where to go. So you can say whatever you want to say to yourself to make yourself feel good about Africa and feel like you want to have a sense of belonging. You want to know where you come from. Listen, you come from America. You come from Europe. I know that there's this trend of looking for your ancestry. Listen, do whatever you want to do to make yourself feel good. But at the end of the day, your home is in Europe. Your home is in America, if you come from there. If you were born there. Unless if your parents immigrated from Africa to those places. So we gotta stop being like this victim mentality nonsense. Seriously, we're not victims of anything. We need to hold ourselves accountable. And if we need more black people to come out and speak against the behaviors that other black people, showcase. We need to call that shit out. That's the only way to improve. That's the only way to change. How can you complain about? Okay, listen, bear with me. Don't get confused. Don't confuse the things that I'm saying. But one of the things that always confuses me is when people complain about white people using the N-word. But the people who've normalized it are black people. For people that don't know history or they don't know anything about South Africa, is that we have almost a similar, history to the United States. But the only difference is that the word that was used for black South Africans were kafir. And if you go into like South Africa, you don't find black people using the word kafir randomly as a word of endearment. Or as a word that you use to empower yourself. How can you empower yourself with a word that was used to demean you? How can you use a word that was used to demean you to empower yourself? Because to me it just sounds like you are normalizing some nonsense and justifying it by, I feel like this. No one gives a fuck about your feelings, bro. Use your brain. Yeah, I need to stop this, bro. You really need to stop this so that if you want change or you want people to change how they approach or how they view black culture, you might have to improve or you're going to have to change yourself. Not just you, I'm including myself. All of us need to improve. As soon as a black person will start, learning and how to speak proper, speak proper English, you're trying to be a white person. As soon as you start to call out some of the bad behaviors that happen amongst our culture, you are a sellout. If you're not a sellout, you're trying to be like a white person. You hate yourself. Listen, I don't hate myself. I love myself. If I was given an opportunity to be born again, I would choose to be black 10 times out of 10. I love being black. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and act like we don't, justify some bullshit. We need to do better. All of us. Everyone. We really need to do better.